Hi, Ribbot team. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great.
We're good. I just wanted to call and check in on you guys, see how, coronavirus outbreaks affected your daily lives, and how the robot's coming along.
So as probably a lot of you guys know, we are a school-based team. All of us are currently undergrads at Worcester Polytechnic Institute. And just like all the universities across the nation, or pretty much across the entire world, we were kicked out pretty recently. And that kind of sucks because sure, we have a lot of free time now because we don't have to deal with classes, but now we also don't have access to our machine shop anymore. And with that, we also lost access to Ribbot. So we actually finished the robot on the 16th, I think. The 16th was the day we got kicked out. So we actually packed up our crate on the 16th, which sucks because now we can't use any of our quarantine time to actually work on the robot anymore.
And that was before the scheduled ship date, right? So did you guys have to work a little faster?
Yeah, it was definitely.
Tim, how many hours of machining did you put in during that week?
I think it was like 18 hours a day, couple all-nighters, finishing, full modules for Ribbot. It was really a lot. I think it was only about 4 days earlier than our ship date. David has the actual date on that, but
it was they pushed the ship date back a couple times, especially as the virus was getting worse and worse. They started pushing it back a little more. I actually ended up lying to my team about the ship date. Because as college students who love to procrastinate, when we last year when we knew, what was it?
You got to put the pressure on.
Exactly, because last year when we knew the exact ship date, we worked all the way up until literally like the truck was pulling in and we were still assembling our crate, which was a terrible, terrible experience. So this year I actually lied about it and said the ship date was I think 3 days earlier than it actually was, to get everyone moving a little bit faster. And then BattleBots ended up just pushing back the ship date a little bit more, and then canceling it. So we had to get it done for the 16th, though, because that was the hard kick-out date for the school. So now Ribbot is just sitting in the crate, ready to go for season 5.
Wow. So did you guys completely rebuild this year? Any major changes, or no, you don't want to disclose it? That's fine too. But
we didn't completely restart. The chassis itself is still the same from last year. We definitely did not have the time to start from scratch, but each of the modules has some changes based on lessons learned from last season. Yeah.
Well, you guys had a really good showing last year for a new team.
Yeah. Sucks that they just posted the Valkyrie Fight. That was the one fight we didn't want on the internet.
But
I haven't seen it yet. I gotta go check it out.
Or you could not check it out. That was our only fight all season where we had a actual connection issue, where the robot just died. Never want to see that.
It's a tough way to go out.
Yeah.
And then turn back on immediately in the test box when we took it outside,
Yeah.
which is always how it goes.
Yeah, that's always how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So how many modules do you guys have this year?
We have the same 4. Although, as I said, that each of them have a bit of a secret sauce now. Sure. But except the lifter. I guess the lifter didn't get changed.
Yeah. Did you guys actually use the lifter last year?
We used it for the fun video. Do you want to explain Segway?
Yeah, so one thing we did with the lifter, and because we did all custom ESCs on the robot, and last year we were running CAN on the robot instead of PWM. This year we're back to PWM, but with our controller we had an IMU on the robot, so we could actually balance the robot up on the rear 2 wheels and have it maintain itself. So we would use the lifter arm just to balance the center mass a little bit better. But
yeah, I think I did see a video on Instagram or something about
super cool.
Segwaying. Or awesome.
Fun fact: we can do that for any robot that has wheels that stick out the back of their chassis. Just saying, if you know a robot that has wheels that stick out the back of their chassis, we literally just all we have to do is hot glue our control board onto like anywhere on the chassis, calibrate it for where it's balanced upright, and then we can do that for any brushed robot with wheels that stick out the rear.
So it's like PWM you would connect it through?
No, we have to connect your motors to our controller through whatever connector you use. So we'd end up switching your drive controllers out and then hot gluing a control board onto your thing, and we can get your robot to stand on its wheels. We tried to get Fight Force to do it last year.
Yeah, I'd like to see which one can do that.
Yeah, and you guys have an arm too, so you have like an arm, maybe not a lifter arm, but the self-riding arm could be used to help balance it as well.
Awesome. Well, maybe we should pursue that.
Yeah,
That'd be
that would
awesome.
be cool.
Unfortunately, the team that agreed to do it ended up going pretty far last season because we talked to Paul about it, and he was like, "Oh, we'd love to see Bite Force standing on his rear wheels," and then he's kind of busy up until the end.
Yeah, he's kind of busy all the time.
Yeah, well, this year for the first time we built 2 witch doctors, so let's make it happen early in the event with the one we're not using yet. That'd be really fun.
That would be fun.
Nice.
I think it'd be hilarious if we just got.
Oh yeah, well,
We could use our coronavirus time to make a balance.
Yeah. We actually are still using that main control board, although we're back to PWM this year with multiple receivers, because last year we were running 1 receiver and then to our control board, which connected to all the receivers, which was like a single point of failure, which we wanted to stay away from. But we're actually using it for telemetry out from the robot this year. Battery voltage, current on the motors, like a lot of interesting stuff, which was really great for testing because we had a lot more time this year to like run the robot, which was really insightful. I think.
Awesome. So you guys did you guys all build Ribbot as like part of like a school, like your like one of your classes, or can you explain how you guys did that?
So actually, Alex, do you want to talk a little bit about the club, the Combat Robotics Club?
Yeah, so we have the Combat Robotics Club at WPI, which is an official WPI club, and we essentially hone our skills through the year by mainly working on beetles. So we have a event in Connecticut, Norwalk, Connecticut, that is really, really good. So we bring a pretty big group of people to almost all of those, and then have people bring some 30s and 12s to Motorama throughout the year. And the club pays for all of that, so you can get reimbursed through the club. And that's kind of the way that I would say, kind of seek talent and find people that are really interested in doing this. So this is my first year with the team. I'm a senior, so unfortunately it might be the last, but I just started doing beetles earlier in the year. I had done some stuff with David and some other people freshman year, but just we primarily focus on beetles for most of the year, and then kind of use that to find people that we see have the level of passion to work on the 250, and then scoop them into that, which is kind of an outside entity. David or Tim can explain that a little more.
Yeah. So so Ribbot itself is not actually part of a club. It's as Alex said, its own entity within the school. They treat us as a completely separate thing from the rest of the Combat Robotics Club. But yeah, so we all started through the club. Everyone had to kind of prove themselves through local events, and then once we got to see what it was like working with people on the smaller robots, we would decide, oh, this person should probably be involved on the 250.
Cool. Yeah. So they have like a year of vetting almost to like
yeah. It's do we see you pulling the all-nighters while we're pulling the all-nighters?
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta have equal commitment level for sure.
Yeah.
So how many people do you actually have on your team?
We still have 9 people this year, just like last year. We had we lost a couple members due to various school-related things, and then we were able to replace all of them. So we're still a team of 9 undergrads.
That's awesome.
So last year you guys had that really cool foam frog body on there. And I heard that this year there's a rule against foam on the robot. So I'm calling it the Ribbot rule.
Yeah, apparently we broke one of the rules of BattleBots. We got a rule made specifically for us.
How do you guys feel about that? I think it's pretty cool.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
It's kind of cool that we're on the radar for a bad reason, but we're on the radar at least. Yeah, the foam had to go, which is unfortunate. We are currently experimenting with some other methods of making the frog. We posted a teaser on our Facebook page yesterday with a giant wooden frog, which some fans I'm sure are going to believe that we're running a giant wooden frog, but it's simply a part of something greater. But yeah, the losing the foam really helps us in terms of weight. We're getting 20 pounds,
like
about 20 pounds back. Yeah, because the frog weighed 23 pounds. Fully loaded, that frog was 23 extra pounds on top of the robot, which was unpleasant to deal with. But
it was awesome aesthetic though.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing that sucks, is that we'll never be able to simulate the amount of like floppiness and like lifelikeliness of the foam frog. It'll never quite look the same again. Yeah. Also, we ditched the legs, which was supposed to be a secret, but I guess BattleBots posted our renders, so we no longer have the legs.
Uh,
I'm sure as a driver, you can appreciate the fact that you can always tell which way which doctor is facing. I could not tell which way Robot was facing because the legs were not always pointed in the same direction as the chassis because they're so floppy. So like I would do a turn. Yeah, I would do a turn and the legs would be like pointed to the left and of where the robot's actually facing. I tried to go forward and the robot would go to the right of where I thought it was pointing. And it was very annoying. I don't know if you noticed last season we started adding kind of break points for the legs so that they would snap off super easily so that I could actually drive the robot because I can't drive it with the legs on.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, but it looks so cool though. I mean, I hope that without the legs, that you guys kept set the bar pretty high for yourselves as like a good balance of aesthetic and obviously functionality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If we're being honest with ourselves, is it going to look as good this year? Probably not.
I think the head will look about the same.
Yeah.
A couple test ones, like we're trying to get the frog in at under 5 pounds this year, and I think we're like really close to doing it. Because the lightest we had it against Endgame last year was like 13 pounds, I think, legs and head. But it was super like cored out and filling it with like plastic and
It looked really bad too.
But
definitely the prettiest frogs were against Kraken and Sharko because those are the matches where the aesthetic matters a little bit more, and plus the other teams were super okay with us being overweight due to foam essentially.
Also, your decoration bonus weight that they were allowing, basically.
Yeah, so we did we use any of it against Endgame, Falcon, or Sawblaze? I don't think we did.
no,
right?
none of them allowed it. It was only Matt Spurk of Kraken. He was perfectly fine with us, whatever for the aesthetic, and it made that fight look really good. Some of those pictures are some of my favorite.
Yeah, and obviously with the Valkyrie fight that we don't talk about, they let us be way overweight because I mean, Leanne and I were just like, let's go have some fun.
That's awesome. You guys actually had to mold new parts at the event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a Jenny segment for that. It's kind of cool.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we ever had more than like 2 sets at once of frog.
Yeah.
At the event.
How long would it take you guys to make one of those frog bodies?
So
fairly quick.
There was like it could be done in like a rush job, like we could get one every 2 hours, but like practically like 8 hours per set.
Wow.
Because like you'd set the head, that would go off to the side, you'd set the legs, that would go off to the side. They were all just 3D printed pieces, either mounted or epoxied together, and then they get filled, and then they expand, fill the volume, and then we get a frog head. Which was a weird process to figure out, honestly.
Yeah, we totally didn't. We should totally show those actually at some point. All the failed frog parts that we have that look absolutely terrible. Yeah, it was a process.
I was gonna say, how much like development did you guys have to do to figure out the right foam density and expansion and everything like that?
We did some small scale testing. It was probably like 2 weeks, and like small scale, everything worked really well.
Yeah.
And then once we went large scale, dealing with the heat generated, because it's an exothermic reaction, so dealing with the heat generated was a problem. Because if any part of the mold got too hot, the foam wouldn't expand.
Yeah, it hardened. So we would have like we didn't bring that to filming, did we? The one with the bone inside?
Yeah, it felt like it had bones. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, like getting that right, David would actually like do a dance where he'd like twist the mold around to keep the foam like not built up on itself, and it worked. But
it worked.
It was challenging.
Yeah. Cool.
So since you guys, you said you all had to leave school, you all had to go back home, basically?
Yeah.
Are you in different states now?
We should tell Tim's story for this one.
Yeah.
So most of us are in different states right now. I think a lot of us are still in Massachusetts, but I'm back in New York, which is a fun time right now with coronavirus. But my mom actually has a compromised immune system, so I came home and I'm currently in an RV outside the house.
Wow.
And that's where I'm going to be for 2 weeks of quarantine. So I'm clear. And then I'm back inside. So right now I'm just hanging out in an RV.
In your front
Interesting.
yard.
in my
Yeah.
in the driveway.
That's cool.
Yeah, there was definitely some amount of like worry while we were working on the robot because social distancing does not happen while you're working on your BattleBot because all 9 of us were definitely not practicing safe practices during our very short build season. But so far everyone's healthy, so that's good.
Yep.
That's good.
I mean, our shop, even right at the beginning, they started introducing new practices. Like everyone was getting their pair of safety goggles. Everything was getting like heavily washed. Like things definitely changed as we were like trying to finish up. And then,
Yeah, it was changing really fast.
Well, it sounds like they were being pretty proactive about it because I mean, then around that time was things hadn't even started really shutting down yet. I think.
Yeah. We actually got kind of lucky when all the universities started shutting down. Our school's schedule just happened to work out such that we were actually on spring break when the school shut down. So when we were doing our build season, we didn't have anyone around, which was really nice. That it was pretty much just the 9 of us in the shops. However, it kind of sucked because all the students who came back after spring break had 1 day to move out. So
That's tough, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys have pretty good machine shop access over there. I mean, is there, you guys have like priority issues, like with, obviously building Ribbot in like a short amount of time versus other projects that are going on?
yeah, I mean, there's
we utilize we utilize the flipping of the schedule strategy, where we wake up at 10 p.m. and we work through the night into the day, and then go to bed when everyone else comes into the shop.
Yeah. Being truly nocturnal was really weird. Like
yeah, because so Alex is a newbie, right? So he didn't like last year we did the same thing.
I've pulled plenty of singular all-nighters before, and the next day is just you just feel kind of weird, and then you go to bed and you're back to normal. But actually flipping my schedule was really odd, and especially with coronavirus right now, it's like, what day is today? Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? I don't really care. When are my classes starting?
Yeah, and it's a new life for sure with this coronavirus thing. Everyone's kind of adjusting to new schedules and creating a new norm for themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, we more or less got a very similar feeling season as last year, where all we had to worry about during build season was just the robot. We had no classes, we had no other responsibilities really, besides staying healthy. Other than that, it was just 24/7 robot time.
Yeah.
Good schedule. Timing works out pretty well for that.
Yeah, except for the super early ship date, like fake ship date for us, where we had to pack the crate up.
Yeah. And we got it done in what, like 9 days is what we really devoted.
Yeah, pretty much the entire physical part of the robot happened in 9 days. We were doing CAD work before that, obviously, but the second spring break started, we hit the ground running. The machines were running pretty much 24/7 for 9 days.
Wow, and you guys machine all your own parts?
Yeah, we don't ship out a single part on the entire robot.
except for water jet, some water jet
Well,
stuff.
okay, yeah, that's true. We I guess there's a few water jet parts, but pretty much everything is CNC machined in-house.
Oh, it's really impressive. Nice to have control of their own manufacturing. Process.
The big part of that too is that I think a lot of teams suffered from the fact that China got hit first with coronavirus and all the shops shut down. And then parts were coming in slow or just weren't coming in at all from overseas. Whereas for us, we it didn't change anything for us. We just had more time to machine our own stuff.
Right. Yeah. Even like sourcing speed controllers and things like that became problematic.
Yeah. And we also make our own speed controllers. So we had a nice assembly line of. We have one really talented electrical engineer on our team who pretty much used the rest of us who are all mechanical engineers as just an assembly line to make speed controllers.
That's awesome.
We were a pick and place machine for about 2 days.
Human pick and place machine.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds like you guys got a pretty good team.
Yeah. Everyone has their place. Everyone does their role. Makes a good robot. Good-ish robot. Hopefully better this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the new robot this year. I think, obviously losing the legs is disappointing aesthetically, but I think you'll definitely make up with it with just driving ability. That's so important for BattleBots. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So yeah, thanks for chatting with us. I'm really glad you guys are all doing great. camping in an RV sounds like not the worst way to spend it.
Not
So
too
I'm glad
bad.
you guys know had a place to go, because I know when school was closed, it was hard for some people to find a place to go.
Yeah, we were all very fortunate that everyone was able to get where they needed to be when all this hit.
Great, guys. All right. Well, thanks for the chat. You
Yeah.
know, hopefully we'll stay in touch, and maybe in another week or two we'll touch base again.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's good.
Great.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.